Hello students, today we are going to discuss the population. What exactly the population is? The word population, which originally referred to a group of people occupying a particular space, now includes groups of organisms occupying a particular space. Different ecologists have defined the population variously. Odum has defined population as a collective group of organisms of the same species occupying a particular space. Clapham defined population as the total assemblage of individuals of a given species found in any ecosystem under study. Anyhow, population is one unit through which energy flows and nutrients are cycled. It is a self-regulating system that helps in maintaining stability in the ecosystem, and its properties include such parameters as abundance and population density, range, genetic variability, adaptations of the species to its environment, demands of the species on the environment, and factors associated with population growth such as natality, mortality, and age distribution. The study of the number for organisms and what determines their abundance and distribution is called population ecology. Then the types of population. Clark distinguished the population into two types: monospecific populations and polyspecific population. Monospecific population in which group of individuals belong to the same species. Polyspecific population or mixed population in which groups of individuals belong to different species. The term community is often used for the polyspecific population. The population of species have numerous local populations or subpopulations known as demes. It can be defined as a smallest collective unit of animal population which is able to interbreed. These individuals share a common gene pool. The gene flow between populations occurs through immigration and emigration. The natural selection acts on individuals of a population, leading to its evolution due to change in gene frequency over a period of generations. It may change the physical expression of organisms in the population. Now, there are some population characteristics. Thomas Park expressed that a population has several characteristics or biological attributes which can be best expressed as statistical functions. These functions are unique to the group and cannot be applied to the individuals in the group. Some of these properties are density, natality, mortality, age distribution, population fluctuation, biotic potential, dispersion, dispersal, and growth form. First of all, we will discuss the population density. It is defined as number of individuals in relation to a definite unit of the space. It is generally expressed as number of individuals or biomass per area of the volume, for example, 100 people per square kilometer or 4000 crustaceans per cubic millimeter of water. The density of organisms in the given area can vary with the food supply, seasons, and climatic conditions, but always has definite upper and lower limits. Upper limit to the density is imposed by the size of the organism and its trophic level. If the animal is smaller, greater is its abundance per unit area. For example, a forest is able to support more woodlice than the deer population. The lower limit of density is not well defined, but homeostatic mechanisms help to keep the density within limit. The density is one of the important characteristic of population which is dependent upon a number of factors like resource availability, productivity of the population, energy flow, utilization, physiological stress and dispersal. Then population density is characterized into two types, crude density and specific or ecological density. Crude density is defined as the total number of individuals or biomass per unit of the total space. For example, the number of rhinoceros living in Kaziranga National Park. Specific or ecological density is defined as the number of individuals or biomass per unit of the habitat space. It is the available area or volume which is actually colonized by the population. For example, rhinoceros do not occupy all area of Kaziranga National Park, but it may avoid some of the area due to the lack of food, shelter and human habitations. Therefore, the area inhabited by the rhinoceros actually will be its ecological density. Then there are different methods for measuring the population density. First of all, we can measure it by the total counts. It is the total count of all the organisms in a given area, especially with the large or conspicuous organisms. For example, conducting census of human population, whales in area of sea, etc. Then there are sampling methods. In this method, a small proportion of the population is counted, which is used to estimate the total population. Sampling can be done in two ways, by using the quadrates. In this method, count all the individuals on several quadrates of known size and extrapolate the average to the whole area. The shape and size of quadrate vary with type of organism studied. It can be circular, triangular or square type. The method is extensive, used for the plant population and many invertebrates. Types of quadrates used may be circular, triangular or quadrate. Then second is the capture-recapture method to measure the density of a population. This method is used to count larger animals like birds, fish, etc. The animals are captured, marked and released. On subsequent day, animals were recaptured to calculate the population density. The population at any time will have marked and unmarked individuals. The proportion of the marked individuals in a later sample is used to determine the total population. For example, suppose 100 fishes are captured, marked and released again into the pond. After some time, again 120 fishes were captured, and when we found them, we found that there are 30 fishes which are already marked. Then this is the capture and recapture method. Then there is relative density. Sometimes estimation of absolute density of a population is very difficult. So it is simple to determine the relative density. The relative density never provides an estimate of density, but it is rather an index of abundance that is more or less accurate. Relative density can be measured by the different methods. First of all, the trap method. It is generally used in capture-recapture methods, but also used to determine relative density as the number of individuals caught per day per trap. Then another way to calculate relative density is calculating the number of fecal pellets. By counting the number of fecal pellets in an area, index of population size can be determined. For example, the population of rabbit, deer, etc. can be measured by this way. Then by the vocalization frequency. By analyzing the calls of animals in particular time duration, index of population size can be determined. The number of pheasant calls heard per 15 minutes in the early morning has been used as an index of the size of the pheasant population. Then by the feeding capacity, population density can be measured. It can be counted and calculating the amount of food consumed by the animals before and after treatment. For example, the amount of bait consumed by rat or mice before and after poisoning and can be used determines and to determine the index of change in the density. Then there is next characteristic of population is natality. It is defined as the birth rate of a population. In general, natality covers the production of new individuals which arise from hatching, germination or arise by fission. Then natality can be categorized into two types. Absolute or the physiological natality. It is defined as the physiological ability of organisms to produce maximum number of new individuals under optimum conditions. It is always constant for a given population. The absolute natality is very difficult to be achieved in the wild population, but it can be observed only under favorable conditions or when major limiting factors are temporarily non-operative. For example, a small number of paramecia is placed in the culture medium under favorable conditions. They achieved maximum natality by multiplying at maximum reproductive rate. It is beneficial for the two reasons to calculate the absolute or physiological natality. First of all, it provides a standard for comparison with the realized natality. And second, it is useful in setting up equations to calculate the rate of increase in a given population. Ecological or realized natality. It is defined as increase in the population size under ecological or actual environmental conditions. It is never constant for a population but varies with the age, composition, size and physical environmental conditions of the population. Natality can be expressed as delta NN oblique delta T, यानी कि एब्सोल्यूट और क्रूड नैटेलिटी और बर्थ रेट के द्वारा हम इसको कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. Since increase in population depends upon the number of females in a population, the age-specific birth schedule counts only female giving rise to females. The age-specific schedule is obtained by determining the mean number of females born in each group of females. Crude natality or birth rate is expressed in terms of population size. The natality rate is expressed as the number of offsprings produced per female per unit time. The magnitude of natality rate is dependent on the type of organisms being studied. Some species breed once in a year or some throughout the year. Some produce few offsprings or some produce enormous. Now let us discuss the fecundity. Fecundity is defined in the two ways. In human demography, it is the potential for reproduction of a recorded population, while in population biology, it is considered similar to the fertility, the natural capability to produce offsprings measured by the number of gametes, seed set or asexual propagules. A lack of fertility is infertility, while a lack of fecundity would be called sterility. Species vary greatly in the characteristic number of generations, broods or litters produced per year and in the size of them. Protozoans often divide so rapidly that they produce a new generations every few years. Plankton organisms, less fecund, may produce a new generation every few days. Many vertebrates breed but once a year. Some large animals only once every 2 or 3 years. Several species of some small birds and mammals have 2 or more broods per year. Rodents may continue to breed throughout the winter under favorable environmental conditions so that their reproductive potential is enormous. Further, there is a limit on the size of the brood or limit that adult warm-blooded animals can successfully feed and raise to maturity. There is no advantage for starling to have broods larger than 5. The size of brood, litter or clutch is also regulated by weather. For example, the clutches laid by birds during periods of hot weather are usually smaller than those laid when temperature is moderate. Then mortality. Mortality is defined as the rate of death of individuals in a population. There is two types of the mortality. First is the ecological or realized mortality, and second is the theoretical or the minimum mortality. Ecological mortality is the actual loss of individuals under a given environmental condition. It is not constant for a population but varies with the environmental conditions and population such as predator, disease, etc. Whereas the theoretical mortality is the number of death of individuals under ideal or non-limiting conditions. Therefore, even if the conditions are ideal for individuals, they would die because of old age determined by their physiological longevity. It may be constant for the population. Minimum mortality is always greater than ecological longevity. The organisms in the nature actually become old aged due to the process of aging or the census. Mortality is the number of deaths of individuals in a population per 1000 in a given period of time. Generally, mortality is expressed as either the probability of dying or as the death rate. Death rate can be defined as the number of deaths during a given interval of time divided by the average population. For example, a population with initial size of 500 individuals in which individuals survived at the end of the period is 400. The average size of population for the period will be 900 divided by 2, that is 450. The total number of individuals died is 100, so the death rate is 100/450, that is 0.22. The probability of death of individuals is the number that died during a given time interval divided by the number of individuals at the beginning of the period, that is it is 0.2. The complement of probability of dying is the probability of surviving, that is the number of survivors divided by the number of alive at the beginning of the period. As we are more interested in the number of survivors, so mortality can be expressed in terms of the life expectancy. It is the average number of years to be lived in future by the members of a given age in the population. Now let us discuss the age distribution. It is a total number of percentage of individuals in a given population in different age group. The nature of a population is influenced by its age structure. Age distribution influences natality, mortality, and the ratio of various age groups in a population, which indicates its reproductive status. Age is generally expressed in days, months, or years, but it also considered in other categories such as pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. The age structure also determines the future population projections. The population with high reproductive phase individuals, then the post-reproductive phase shows an expanding population. However, some of the plants and animals, including insects and fishes, etc., do not have post-reproductive phase. For example, bamboo shows mass flowering and subsequently die after producing the seeds. A population has more or less even distribution of post-reproductive and reproductive individuals showed stable population. A declining population will be having large proportion of older or post-reproductive individuals. Then what are the age pyramids? The age distribution in a population can be represented in the form of polygons or age pyramids, where the relative width of the successive horizontal bars represents the number of individuals or the percentage in different age classes. There are three types of the pyramids recognized. Bell-shaped pyramid, which is having broad base and represents an expanding population. Dome-shaped pyramid represents a moderate proportion of young and old individuals. And urn-shaped pyramid symbolizes a declining population in which pre-reproductive individuals are less in number. Age reproduction has practical value in the wildlife management. A low ratio of pre-reproductive to reproductive phase indicates a poor reproductive season. However, changes in the age distribution alone do not imply changes in survivorship or fecundity, and it alone should not be used to predict population trends. Then sex ratio is a very important property of a population. The individuals of a population differ themselves in a number of ways such as age, sex, breeding condition and health. The eukaryotic organisms reproduce through sexual reproduction. There are some organisms which have the capacity to reproduce asexually, but still they have provisions for sexual reproduction to maintain genetic variability in the population. Sex ratio can be defined as the percentage of male and female individuals in a population. The sex ratio can be characterized into two types: primary sex ratio and secondary sex ratio. Primary sex ratio is the ratio of male and female at the time of conception, and it tends to be 1:1. And secondary sex ratio is the ratio of male and female at the time of the birth. This ratio often favors males in younger age, but in the older age it shifted towards the females. Then there is dispersion. There are three types of the patterns in dispersion: the uniform, the clumped and the random patterns. We will discuss one by one these patterns of dispersion. Clumped dispersion is also known as aggregated distribution. Individuals aggregate in patches caused by environment where the resources concentrated in the patches, and the other factors which are responsible for clump dispersion are mating, limited seed dispersal, and clump dispersion is important for the point of view for protection and reducing competition and increasing the feeding efficiencies of the organisms. In the case of uniform dispersion, pattern of equally spaced individuals is there. It is caused by the ability to survive anywhere in the habitat. In this case, the resources are found immediately around the organisms, and it is important for able to set up the zone of territories for feeding, nesting and breeding. Then there is random dispersion. Spacing pattern is based on the total unpredictability. Individuals in a population are spaced all over an area in a way that is unrelated to the presence of others. It is caused by the ability to live anywhere in a given area except they are limited to grow wherever they are first set roots. Then there is dispersion, or there is migration populations have a tendency to disperse or spread out in all the directions until some barrier is reached. Accordingly, population dispersion is the movement of individuals into or out of the population. It takes three forms: immigration, that is one way outward movement; emigration, one way inward movement; and migration is the periodic departure and return. Dispersion supplement natality and mortality in shaping population growth, form and density, and also it plays a significant role in the distribution of plants and animals even to the areas previously unoccupied by the members of the population. Most types of population dispersion occur due to a number of reasons, such as for obtaining food, avoiding predators, preventing overcrowding, result of action of wind and water, environmental factor as light and temperature, breeding behavior, physiological reason as secretion of some hormone, or for interchange of genetic material between the population. In the next lecture, we will discuss some of the other points of population ecology. Thank you.